Welcome to Age of Empires 4! We are on Lipany in the Conqueror League, looking at an early Season 11 team game. We have on the south, the Red Rus putting up a hunting cabin. And their teammate to the north, the recently buffed Ottomans, with a lot of options in their toolbox that they didn't have just a couple days ago. And in the north, we have the Mongols in teal, safely up against that wood line, and their teammate to the south in the yellow, English. So, what do we have here for civilizations? Well, it's kind of an interesting team up. You know, on this western side here, you have the English defensive powerhouse, able to use that defense to spring off out of their base, knowing that their home is pretty safe. Though the Mongols are infamous for not being able to defend their base. They don't have walls. They do get some other advantages. But we've been seeing a lot of deer stones into full mounted archer comps. In the eastern side of the map, the Rus, I mean, just very powerful. A lot of surprise they didn't get nerfed in the last patch. Really balanced civilization, but what we most commonly see is a push into castle after going into professional scouts, going into that high trade house, making sure you have that passive gold trickle coming in, and then going in to mounted the horse archers. Going into the horse archers. For the Mongols, you know, I think we have to see them develop. People had them pretty low last season. People, not a lot of love for them right now. But they got some interesting buffs. They were able to unlock, and I can't switch to their perspective, I don't think, in the same way. There's no proper caster mode for this replay option in team games. But the Akinji, the mounted ranged cavalry, they're able to unlock those now and get 3 from the get. As we see the Sultan Hani trade network coming in. I like this a lot. You know, they actually have an interesting map layout. I want to talk about it soon, but not great trade, but you have the ability to wall off on this map with the interesting architectural or geographical features. And that allows you to get some trade going, but if you're not able to, you can always garrison those traders, keep them in the Sultan Hani trade network, and get that gold. So I like the flexibility it provides. It's harder to get gold than it is food in the late game. Plus, you have other options to get food as the Ottomans. You're able to get the extra sheep from Anatolian Hills. But that said, I think the other important things to consider here is, do we see the other benefits to the Vizier point system? And what I mean by that is that they're able to get discounts not only to their defensive structures now, but to town centers as well. That's new in this patch. And then an increased villager production rate for 4 minutes. I think it's an increase of 75% for 4 minutes. So, you know, if you go for those 2 Vizier points, you have a strong defensible economy, which is maybe a good place to pivot into trade if you're able to get those defenses up, or trade's less important because you have those town centers. So it gives you some options, but we'll see what they go into. Golden Gate, pretty much the standard you're seeing right now for the Rus. Mongols going for deer stones, as we suspected. At a council hall, back on the menu here, already up and already producing its first longbows. So longbows, you know, their big disadvantage is they're slow. That was the complaint with House of Lancasters. Now you have fast, basically a fast longbows with yeomen. But the longbows do that extra damage, and they can do it against the cavalry, the mounted cavalry that you expect to see out of the Rus. So, going to protect this deer hunt with the longbows. Just the one? No, okay, now we have more coming out here. On the Uvu, nothing yet. Pasture could be moved out there. It's free sheep. Who doesn't like free sheep? I like lamb. Do you ever cook lamb? It's kind of expensive. I don't cook it that much anymore. But it's really good once I do. Anyway, more longbows coming out to protect this hunt. Could bring this boar in later. Try to have that for dinner. Don't eat much boar. Definitely eat a lot more lamb than boar. Or venison. I think I've only had venison once, like it was a sausage. Anyway. Mongols about to come up with their age up. Rus up, already going to get a stable out. And this is where, yes, the Mongols might be able to help you with the ranged cavalry and defend yourself later. But at this point, they're going to be absolutely useless against the knights. So unless we see some barracks coming out for the English player, they're going to be in a world of pain here. Military school coming out. They didn't go for the opening. They are mining out now. Probably going to go for a second one pretty soon. Let's check out their resources. Yeah, they have enough to go for a second military school here pretty soon. And they do. Want to see a blacksmith coming out as well. Make sure they get that boost. Producing Sipahi, so made sure to switch it up immediately. So they're going to get out their range units quickly. Longbow's coming out. Going to try to pick off the scout. Scout sees it. But the first knight is out. And if you're the Rus, you're pretty happy with this. I'm surprised that they're not coming out further here. Probably me trying to lure them a little closer so it's harder for them to escape. Scout keeping a beat on them. And now the scout of the English is going to see... Oh, they have a knight. Time to get out of Dodge, brother. So, good scouting here. You know, how many times have you lost if you're not, you know, a top player? Or even then, how many times have you lost units for want of a 70 food scout? 70 food? 65 food. Yeah, you want to get that up. I like this covering your flank, and we do immediately see barracks coming out here. So, you know, anticipation could have been a little bit smoother here by the English, but they're doing the right thing now. They saw what they were running into, and before they attacked, checked it out and realized we got to run back. The big thing to defend here is going to be this food supply here. You want to make sure you're able to really secure that. Where'd that boar go? Where'd that boar go? Oh, they're eating the boar. Awesome. So yeah, really taking advantage of that position. Good use of the map here by Seta. 3 Rus knights out. 4 Rus knights out. Sorry, I'm overcounting by 1. I've counted the scout. Second stable coming in here. Now, they have not scouted the Rus that there are now spearmen on the field. And it's so hard. You try to dive in there, and even just 1 or 2 spearmen makes such a big difference. Rus out here gathering some sheep. And what a cozy little cove here. Now, I wanted to talk about some of the geology of this map. As double stables on the Uvu. Keshik's coming out here, and they're off to the races. Where are they making a beeline to? To the Rus base. Oh, and there's already a group out here. So the Western team pushing in here. Keshiks have that really well-rounded unit, the Keshiks. Putting pressure out here. Not diving in, just taking out some production. While this happens, I wanted to mention some of the geology. Really large features here. Really tricky to navigate. I've never seen anything quite like this double offset equal sign you get here. Sipahi now picking off the reinforcements. Good move. There is some pretty pickable... I think they're going to see it. Oh, no, they don't. So, missing out on the villagers. They're trying to camp the production, but there's nothing here for them to really sink their teeth into. Meanwhile, on the defensive side, getting the runaround here. The knights trying to protect their livelihood here. What I want to say about this map here is these can be really hard. This one doesn't go quite as deep, but it can be hard to protect your ally because you have to run around this obstacle. Here you have to kind of run through these obstacles. It's going to be a slower trickle than you might have on a more open map. Hunting cabin being torched. Longbow's getting a little bit of work in. A tower coming up on the wood line. Villager's going to get picked off. That's 1. It's going to be 2. So a couple more go down there. Scout's going to get picked off. Second hunting cabin's going to be torched. So good scouting, good use of the information by the Western team here, aggressing the Rus. Sipahi coming out, archers also coming out here to join the fray. I'm not sure what the archers are for. I mean, that's obviously they're. I presume they're going to be to pick off the English spearmen that have been made. Huh. That was a failed attack. So I guess the the archers were being sent across the map here to aggress. Full-on fight here now in feudal. I don't really see a whole lot of motion towards castle. A lot of idle time here. Oof. You want to shift queue those villagers. Now they're on the move. Going to get on those berries. Now the cavalry of the Eastern team is going to finally have the numbers they need to handle that mass of English. The Keshiks still going to do some work here as the Sipahi finally try to chase them away here. So pretty devastating fight on all sides here. A little bit of raiding. Sipahi goes down to the spears. And now there's some breathing room. We're going to go to current resources and see here. Ottomans have the gold to go castle. They definitely don't have the food to go castle. English starting their farm transition. Keshik's now going to try to do some work in the back here. This is more distracting pressure than really anything consequential. The Sipahi, you want to compare their attacks. 12 spear, 15 sword. So pretty similar. Advantage goes to the Keshiks. They also have that 3 melee armor. And the Sipahi don't have that. But the Sipahi can have range. As we see the first barracks coming in here now for the Ottomans. They really need it. Food's scarce, so some mismacroing. You know, you still have the Ottomans pumping. They have a lot of gold. They don't have a lot of food. The Rus have a lot of food. They have a lot of gold. They're heading towards castle pretty quickly here. Some more Keshiks wandering around looking for something they can put the herd on. The knights chasing them away. England getting walled up here, making use. We talked about earlier how you can use the features on Lipany to try to protect yourself, and they are doing exactly that. Hi, Trade House. You already chopped through a good amount of your wood here. I mean, maybe you put it up here. That's kind of vulnerable. You could put it in the back. A Sipahi protecting the back line. That's when selecting your idle military can be good. Now, the English have remassed, and they are identifying the Ottomans as the target. Joining the Mongolian counterparts. England going to look up to age up behind this, I think. 400 gold. They got a good number on gold. They have a good number of food coming in here. We can look at income per minute. Just a large number of Keshiks here. They could take this fight. They're choosing not to. The English masses kind of yo-yoed back and forth. The Rus are coming to try to help out their teammate, but it's a big mass here, and it's an excellent mass. The longbows are going to be mildly effective, going to be better at picking off any economic units that show up. That's a very optimistic mill is placed in the middle of the battle by the Ottomans. I don't know about that. But good coordination here, I think, from the Western team. Making the units they need. We now have the Stepward Out coming out, pumping out that gold. They're trying to get to the Cognate Palace. It was recently nerfed, but still produces just a ton of units, very effectively, very good units. Trying to get a little bit of a pincer, but the teams aren't quite coordinated. The Ottomans ran back as the English were running forward. The English got the memo and pulled back. Keshik's going to try to... Sorry, I got that all turned around, didn't I? Sorry. Both the Keshiks and the English force turned back from the Ottoman forces they fled. So I think I got my teams confused there. Rus looking to see if they can do any balancing. Good spear numbers coming out here. 12 spears. And now we went for the King's Palace. I don't love this placement. You could put it back here where you're immediately on fresh resources. You could put it on this gold and this wood. You're protecting it. You're getting villagers with a short line. But maybe focus more on aggression than they are with the design of their base. Wisely peeling back. 9 knights would take a good beating. High trade house in the back of the wood line, as we talked about, likely happening. And the Ottomans still looking for that age up. We're able to finally get the forward mill down, collecting that deer. We have to assume it's going to be the Mehmed Imperial Academy. We see a new production zone coming in here in the back. I like it. Probably want to come in and repair this as well. Now the English aggress again. Really going knights only here. They need something to handle these spears. Horse archers could do well. Regular archers could do well. But they're still going for this knights only comp, which is powerful and population efficient, but it's expensive and it's hard to get the mass you need. 43 military units here for the English against the 15, the 16 of the Rus. A little uncertain about how to approach this. The Rus knights are kind of circling. Ottomans still looking for food, still looking for that age up. Need to get that blacksmith down here for the Rus. And now a big Keshik force coming through here. Market's starting to come down. Steppard out moving to the back. And a second town center. So this is a very boomy. And they're going to surrender. The Rus realize they cannot hold it. And they're right to do so. Still haven't had an age up. The Ottomans are going to get overwhelmed here. And this game is going to be... Well, this game is over pretty much. The Keshiks are going to come in. They're going to destroy what's left. The economy of the Ottomans could never quite get balanced. You could never quite get their feet under them. And just couldn't compete. And I just love how the Ottomans went in. They're using their advantage. They're using their map control. They're going for trade. They have the second town center. Using the resources they have. And now they're just going to look to finish this game. English force coming through the back. And just a note, players should not continue this game. You know, I just want to put it out there to all of my fellow non-pro players. You're not playing for money. You're wasting people's time. Like at this point, pretty primey, you're going to lose this game. You're going to lose this whole horde of villagers. You don't have a teammate. You were losing before your teammate dropped out, and now they're out. So it makes it hard when somebody wants to cast a game like this because nobody wants to watch that much dead air. But we got there in the end. Congratulations to the Western team for pulling out that victory. Remember to quit when it's hopeless. Decisive victory. Nice team. Nice coordination there by the English and the Mongols. You want to check out, see the villager count stayed pretty steady until you got that late TC there by the Ottomans. You saw some of the damage done. So not a big economic difference. I mean, a bit of a boost for the Ottomans, or excuse me, for the Mongols at the end there. You saw them kick it up with the Steppard out right around here. They got on that gold and it took off with the extra TC as well. That's great. But this was really the types of resources that were being gathered with a clear purpose. You know, going into simple archers against longbows and Keshiks and spears, you know, not going to cut it. Not making great use of the military school either because they were making low-value units instead of the more valuable Sipahi. So, you know, thrown off balance. It's not really so much a critique of the team that lost. It's more of how the winning team was able to be really clear on their objectives, scouting appropriately, knowing what units they had to make, and ultimately pulling out the victory. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for joining this cast of Age of Empires 4, and we'll catch you in the next one.